Yo, what's the deal, man? It's your player partner, Bobby Double Yay J, aka Bobby Yay Jones, and today I got something to say. So consider this a PSA from the Yay, but I'm gonna let the algorithm and let YouTube do what it does when it does what it does, and send out notifications and get some individuals in here so we can discuss this controversial topic that a lot of individuals would like to sweep up under the carpet and make it seem as if it doesn't exist. And then when they do address it, they make it seem as if blacks are the culprits or the originators of inner minority racism. But today we're gonna get into it, man. Let's discuss its origin. Let's discuss its origin from a cultural standpoint, where it originates from, and then from a game point of view as well. Let's talk about the origin of blacks, Negroids versus Mongoloids that identify as Mexican, Latino, Chicano, so on and so forth. We all know the adjective that's associated with the individuals from out of Mexico, whether you call them Mexican, Latino, Chicano, Hispanic, whatever. We're talking about Mexicans, the people in the southern part of North America. Let's talk about the origin. If we discuss the origin and where this, talk about where this originate from, then we can talk about a solution. But from what I see, it's already beginning to resolve itself. JG, top of the morning. Buenos dias are in Jama Usiku. Is it Jama Usiku? Man, it's been a long time since I've been popping what it is that I be popping when I used to pop that key Swahili. But top of the morning to you and yours, man. I pray that you're having an amazing holiday season, man. And I hope them babies, if you got any babies, I hope you got them babies some good gifts and whatnot. But if not, then you get it right in 2025, man. I know a lot of individuals have been going through different type of crises and whatnot in our individual lives and whatnot. We're just been trying to navigate, man. But it's a video that I want to show y'all. But before we see the video, man, I want to talk about the origin of this blacks versus Mexican. Like where does this originate from? Because pre-conquistadors, pre-Cortez, we were living harmonious. We were living together. We coexisted. We co-inhabited in the lens of the Americas. Everywhere, with the exception of where the Caucasians were. Wherever there were Caucasians, there was division, there was segregation, there was separation. That's what the Caucasians brought. Because there was a point in time to where the Chocktaw, the Blackfoots and the melanated, carbonated indigenous peoples called Indians, it was a point in time to where they co-inhabited and coexisted with the Mongoloids. So this is what I say. The Negroid natives and the Mongoloid natives, at one point in time in America, they coexisted. And they begin to, mix. You know what I mean? Creating another I don't want to say species, but creating another ethnic group. That's what we'll say. Creating another ethnic group. Some of these individuals are called red bones. That was in the Louisiana, on the Louisiana and Texas border. You feel what I'm saying? They were kind of like a lawless people, especially after they had encountered the whites. They began to take on the mannerisms and the behavior of the whites. They began to R-word individuals. They began to rob individuals. They began to engage in nonsensical unalivings and whatnot. This is the red bones on the Louisiana-Texas border. And then you had another admixture that was called Malusians. Malusians. I'm gonna get the name. Forgive me if I'm miss saying the name. Forgive me. But the Malusians, and the Malusians was the black peoples that was mixed with a little bit of Caucasian, that was mixed with Negroid natives and Mongoloid natives, and they occupied the Appalachian Mountains. Elvis is the descendant of this. Some of the actors that was coming up, some of the Caucasian actors that was coming up and entertainers that was coming up that said that was mistaken to be part black. And they say, no, I'm not black. I'm part native. I'm part Indian. That's why I have this dark complexion. Beirut was one of those individuals. He was part black, but he said, hey, man, I'm part native. Elvis Presley, and it's a slew of other entertainers that was part black, but they disguised it as being part native. But the native that they was a part of was Negroids. It was either they were part Redbone, it's either they were part Creole, it's either they were part Malusian, you know what I mean? But we're gonna get into the origin of this. Boom, let's go back before the conquistadors, where Negroids and Mongoloids cohabitated and they lived in harmony. We were almost like one people, right? Then the conquistador, Cortez, and the Portuguese, the Europeans come over here and they seen how unified we were. But you got to understand, they understood eugenics, eugenics. They understood eugenics and genetic modification. How did they understand this? They understood this because Yakub, the big brain scientist, he had come to a conclusion to where he wanted to create a subrace different from the black race. And he understood that inside of every black woman is a mitochondrial gene. And sometimes that mitochondrial gene can be deformed or mutated and it produce what we call an albinism. And he knew that if he can get a certain amount of albinos and get them to continue to procreate, that it would begin to eradicate all traces of melanin in these individuals. And over a period of time, he did that. So now you have a subrace, but the subrace is a mutated, deformed race that comes from albinos. So people say, if the world was all black at one point in time, how did this race and this race of people and these races, only three races, Negroid, Mongoloid, and the Caucasoids came later. The Caucasoids are individuals who were marched into the Caucasus Mountains because to compensate for them being slower, for them being weaker, for them being sensitive to sunlight, what they understood that if we're not physically as strong as these melanated, carbonated individuals, we have to outthink and we have to outwit them with everything that Yakub taught us. Yakub was a Moor. Even when the first Caucasians, well, they weren't even Caucasians then, when the albinos, when these mutated, deformed individuals got their numbers up, they became brutal. They created division. They began to unalive individuals. They began to steal. They were very deceitful. This is the truth. They created havoc in the regions where they was at. So all the melanated, carbonated people said, man, this stuff ain't start popping off until Yakub introduced these people into our civilizations. We can't take this. We got to get them up out of here. So they band together. They got them up out of there, and they ended up at the Caucasus Mountains. That's where you get the word Caucasian. We can go deeper into Caucasian because not all Caucasians is white. You got some Caucasians that are Asian and they have dark skin. But we'll get into that later, right? So the Moors, what they do periodically, the Moors will go and visit them. Even though the people in Africa was like, man, leave them alone. If they up there thriving, good for them. If their numbers are dwindling, that's good too. We do not need to go and teach them what we have been taught. But the Moors said they can be rehabilitated. These are still our people. You know, black people is always compassionate. We're always empathetic and understanding with everybody other than us. You feel what I'm saying? So the Moors say, no, man, we can tame them. We can civilize them. And if you do your research, Paris was a ghetto where individuals took their feces, their fecal matter, and their urine and dumped it in the streets. There were parts of Europe, man, that was so contaminated and dirty and disgusting to where they didn't even take baths, homie, and the sin of them was something that'll make you vomit. So the Moors went up there and said, no, you can't live like this. That water, you take this water and you go down here with this soap and you bathe yourself. And when you do it, you'll feel better. There were certain parts in Europe, they didn't even know that if you drink water, it can hydrate you. Because they used to drink a copious amount of beer and whatnot because the water was contaminated. And they didn't know that if you boil the water, you can boil out the things that are harmful. You can boil whatever's making you sick, you can boil that out. And when you're making beer, it goes through a point where you have to boil it and all that, and it's taking away all the bacteria and whatnot. So the Africans, the Moors went up and said, no, man, you ain't got to drink this beer. You can just boil this water, boil this, and it'll have you right. No, man, you don't have to interact like that. This is how you do this, and this is how you do that. That's why a lot of people, even myself, blame the Moors for the fall of the African empires. When they went up there and they gave the Moors the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, when they gave the Moors the philosophy, when the Moors went up there and they gave the Caucasians, the Europeans, the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, the teachers, the philosophies and whatnot, and said, look, now you're rehabilitated. You can walk upright like us. You can walk dignified with your chest out, and you can thoroughly and properly communicate. Now it's time for us to take you back. When they went back, they seen how plentiful gold was. They seen how plentiful resources was, and they began to conspire. They infiltrated. They learned everything. They took it back to where they come from, and they branded it as theirs. The Greeks didn't know shit about philosophy and cosmetology and in astronomy until they went into Africa. And the Africans taught them about how to navigate by using constellations and all that. They went back and they branded it as theirs. Philosophy, poetry, music, math, meditation, all that comes from Africa. But they stole it, they branded it as theirs. They seen how relaxed the Africans was in Africa. The Africans ain't have guards stationed everywhere and all that because they were a harmonious people. They were living in harmony. They was a peaceful people, and they sit back and they conspired and say they don't have no defenses. Let's form an army. Let's form a military, and let's go take that shit. The Moors was gallivanting around the world, teaching, educating, exploring, and all that. The people of supreme knowledge, they weren't even around. They were gone. Navigating through the constellations through the ocean. We're navigating the ocean by reading the constellations and whatnot. And they came over here to what we call the Americas. Now, once the Malay Africans in the west coast of Africa, once they became hip to it, they began to explore the ocean by using their constellations. And they went into South America. So from South America, they began to migrate. And they were encountering Mongoloids, descendants of Asia, right? That's what you call the Asians, Mongoloids. They were encountering Mongoloids and other Negroids. And they began to teach them, oh, no, that ain't how you farm. That ain't how you create an irrigation system. That's not how you properly create a agriculture. So look, let us show you how to do this, and let's show you how to do that, right? So when they go back to their empire, they tell the Portuguese. Last night I said it was the Italians. It wasn't the Italians. They tell the Portuguese, Europeans. They tell the Spanish, Europeans, how this other land across the seas was plentiful and how it was black people over there. So they say, no, we don't believe you. We want to go over there too. Show us the way to get over there. So when they came over here, right, the conquistador, Cortez, and all them, right, when they came, it was automatic war because they came over there trying to take over shit. We're going to take this over. This is just what it is. So the Mongoloids and the Negroids banded together and was fighting them, right? So they was able to isolate the Mongoloids, and they understand eugenics, right? They understand genetic modification because they learned it from Yakub, right? So they tell the Mongoloids, like, listen, what y'all doing? We don't have no problem with y'all. We come bearing gifts. But the Negroids, they got us all beefing. We don't want war. We're friendly people. We want to befriend you. Look, we want to teach our religion. We want to teach our philosophy. We want to bring you gifts. Look, we come bearing gifts. It's the Negroes. It's the Negroids that's bad. They're bad people. Look, are we attacking you now? And the Mongoloids reason to say, no, they ain't attacking us now. Only time they attack us is when the Negroes around. No, we cool with y'all. Because they understood that once they began to coitus, once they began to have sex with these Mongoloids, those Mongoloids within a generation or two become as light as the Caucasians. But if you procreate with those blacks, it's 3, 4, 5 generations before you can get back to be looking like a Mongoloid or Caucasian. The blacks is bad. We don't want no war with y'all. We want to teach y'all our philosophies. Look, this is our philosophies. This is right. Dimming and hills is bad. So we'll give you whatever you want. Any fortune that we have, everything that we come with, we'll share a portion of it with you. We'll teach you how to create civilizations that's real similar to what we come from. We'll teach you about God. It's another type of God. No, not that God. That God's barbaric. Let us teach you about our God. Let us show you the way. And the Mongoloids turned their backs on us for trinkets, ornaments, in a form of civilization that was actually barbaric. It seemed sophisticated at that point in time, But when you really sit back and reflect, it was actually barbaric. They taught the Mongoloids in Mexico and Honduras to turn their backs on the blacks. So that started right there. That philosophy starts right there. Now we're going to talk about current day gang culture. When we come from these communities where it's blacks and Latinos, we live cool. Everything is cool. But when they start going to these correctional institutions, what happens? They begin to befriend the Aryan Brotherhood, the Caucasians, and they adapted their philosophies and their hatred and their propaganda against blacks. They adapted that. They begin to separate us. They begin to separate from us. How you separate from us in Watts, Compton, South Central, certain parts of East LA? We live together. We cohabitate. We cool. We eat tamales at y'all house. Y'all eat, you know what I mean? Red beans and soul food, pork chop, fried chicken, and candy yams and collard greens and all that over our house. So how do y'all go to prison and align yourselves with the same individuals who hate both of us? They adopted the philosophies of the Caucasians again, and they turned their backs on us. And that's when it started going into the county jails and leaking out into the streets, late 80s, early 90s. Where the Hispanics, the Sureños, the essays jumped on this war path to where we hate blacks. We got to monopolize the drug trade from them. We got to run them out of the communities where our numbers where we have more, where we're dominant, where we're the predominant people, where it's more of us in these communities and these neighborhoods. We need to run them up out of there. Hence what we're going through now. But the tides and the paradigms are shifting. Now you see that there's a lot of young Hispanics that dress like us, that talk like us, and they do everything that we do, and they damn near do it just like us. The tides is changing. So this is what I say to the non-racial Mexican people. If you depart from those racist teachings and philosophies that you have been indoctrinated and conditioned to believe towards blacks, we would embrace y'all. We would embrace y'all. We're not going to hold the past against you. But at some point in time, you have to denounce and renounce those racist politics and procedures that they conditioned y'all to manipulate y'all to go against your brothers. We'll forgive y'all. But you can't be up under this Sureño politics to where you feel like we're your enemy and we want to hurt you. No, homie. Y'all come after us. Y'all created this war. Within the next 10 to 15 years, you're going to see a lot of more Latinos, Chicanos, Mexicanos that's aligning themselves with the blacks like how it is in the Bay Area. You're going to see more of them joining ranks and being a part of us versus these racial groups. They tired of that, homie. They like hip hop. They just discovered that they like soul food. They just discovered that they like black tacos, the reinvention of their tacos with the cheese. And y'all know how our aunties, grandmamas, and our women cook tacos. You know, the reinvention of Spanish food that's really African food, because tortillas actually came from Africa. Chocktaw, which is one of the, next to tequila, it's the national drink of Mexico. That comes from Africa. A lot of their cuisines and dishes actually come from Africa. Spanish rice is a redention of jollof rice. That's in Ghana, Senegal, in Nigeria. We more alike than we are different. So to all the young Hispanics and Mexicans out there, all you got to do, homie, is don't engage in those racial politics, and we're going to embrace you. Not only are we going to embrace you, we're going to treat you like brothers, homie. We ain't going to show no separation between us and y'all. I'm from a gang, homie, and I have a lot of Mexican young homies. My young homies, my young Mexican homies don't get discriminated against. We don't treat them like they different. We treat them like they one of us. But that's how compassionate, that's how understanding, and that's how loving black folks is. But watch this, flip side. Just say if I was a Sureño, Southsider. If I was black Southsider, I can never be a Sureño. If I was a black Southsider, I can never advance to a leadership position. I will never be able to control the yard. I'll never be able to dictate this and dictate that. They will alienate me because I'm black. We don't do that to our Hispanic brothers and sisters. We embrace you as one of us. So if you're a rider, if you're a soldier, if you're a forward-thinking individual, we're gonna let you advance. And this is true. All you gotta do is just sit back and look at it. But I feel like I have been talking long enough about the origin of this. What I want to do is show this video. Somebody has said in the comments that it's time for the young, no, it's time for the YNSs to shine. It was like YNSs, it's y'all time to shine. I'm not here to deliver a message that inspire individuals to take retaliatory actions against these individuals who did this to this helpless young black man, young black boy. That's not what I'm here for. What I'm here for is hopefully to get black and brown to see that we are more similar than we are different, and we can put our BS to the side and rise together. You feel what I'm saying? That's the thing. I'm here to inspire my people as well, to get my people to see that it's absolutely important for us to connect, unify, and change the dynamics. But let's get into this content, homie. And this is jacked up. I'm gonna let you know that now.
You're watching a 14-year-old male student getting jumped and punched in the boys' bathroom of Verdugo Hills High School in Tujunga in late August. The attorney for the 14-year-old's family says the teen was also repeatedly called racial slurs.
Make no mistake about it, this is a case of racism.
Attorney Brad Gage says after the incident, the school held a meeting with the teen's mom, who doesn't want us to use her name for safety reasons.
They didn't care. They didn't do nothing to the other kids. And that's why I'm most upset about. They just sat there and did nothing.
Attorneys for the 14-year-old students say there are very few African-American students here at Verdugo Hills High School. They say almost from the first day of class in August, the teen was targeted by Latino students who called him racial slurs, physically assaulted him, and threatened to stab him.
My son is a good, smart kid, very intelligent.
This mom believes because nothing was done to her son's attackers, the situation escalated to what happened on campus on December 9th. Gage tells us it started on the schoolyard where his client was again thrown to the ground, punched, and called the N-word by two students.
At some point, others that are part of the group or gang, they come and chase our client with a big butcher knife, trying to kill him.
Gage says his client was trying to defend himself when two others ended up getting stabbed. Their injuries were not life-threatening. As for the 14-year-old, the LAPD tells us he was arrested for assault with a deadly weapon. Gage filed a government claim, a precursor to a lawsuit against Verdugo Hills High School and the district for failing to protect the 14-year-old. We reached out to LAUSD for a response to the claim, and a spokesperson said Los Angeles Unified does not comment on pending or ongoing litigation.
It's the school's failure to act properly in August and September that led to a stabbing in December.
My son was in a situation where he could have been killed. I still feel like he can be killed because if he can't even come over here now, he can't even come back over this way due to all the stuff that's been going down.
Rachel Kim, KCAL News. You're watching.
All right, I'm back. There's a comment that I want to highlight, right? I don't know how much truth it is to this. That 14-year-old, if I'm correct, that was jumped was in Tujunga. They put Tuwana, but it's Tujunga. I was in the camp, juvenile probation camp out there, Tujunga, right? If this is the one, that black kid was associated with a Colonial gang that the other Mexican gangs didn't get along with. Okay, let's just say some truthfulness to what you said. But why the name calling? Why calling him an N-word and all these other racial slurs? Why not this his video? You made it racial when you begin to call him the N-word, so on and so forth. I got another comment I want to highlight. This is from one of my kin folks. And my kin folks say, JG say, Bobby, those dark natives aren't us, my brother. Aren't you? I got my documentation to show that I am directly related to the Chocktaw Nation, the actual Chocktaw, the Negroid Chocktaw. I have my documentation. That's my family. That's my lineage. That's my blood. So they may not be related to you, but all of us didn't come here to the Americas via the slave trade. It was already blacks here. Read the book. They come from before Columbus. It's not too many places that you can't travel to. Indonesia, the original inhabitants of Indonesia were Negroids. They call them Negritos. The original inhabitants of Australia was Negroids. They call them Aborigines or Aboriginals. The original inhabitants of India were Negroids, black folks. So it's not too many places that you can't go that blacks didn't migrate to. It wasn't whites around that time. Whites was created many decades later. They got up on the exploration and the traveling and all that a little bit later. So it ain't too many places that you was able to go to where it wasn't either Negroids or Mongoloids there. The Mongoloids learned the game from the Negroids. So they may not be you. Respectfully, I say this, JG. They may not be you, but I'm a part of that. I am Chocktaw, part Chocktaw. You feel what I'm saying? But I got my documentation and all that to prove and substantiate my claim of being a part of that native group. Not the $5 Indians, where they came and they stole our identities in the same fashion that what was the name? Abram did his brother. Was it Abram that did that to his brother? Esau? Or is it Jacob? Whoever stole his brother birthright and stole his brother identity, that shit is still going on. You know what I mean? One of my kinfolks, Lewis Gordon, said, yeah, we really don't have that problem up north with the Latinos. Not in the Bay, but in cities like Modesto, it's brewing. In cities like Merced, it's brewing. In cities like Salinas, it's brewing. In certain northern cities where it's predominantly Hispanic, now they're slightly becoming less tolerant towards African Americans. So it may not be as out of hand as it is in Southern California, but let's not act like it doesn't happen to a degree up north as well. You feel what I'm saying? It's not as prevalent as it is in Southern California, but it's up there as well. It's just not in the Bay Area. In the Bay Area, it's still a lot of brothers. There's still a lot of black culture up there. There's still a lot of togetherness. You feel what I'm saying? In Southern California, homie, we so separated, divided, and disenfranchised to where we don't even understand the dynamics of what's really going on because we're so dedicated and devoted to unaliving one another, to shaming one another and going after one another to where we don't understand that there's a bigger war. And it ain't just with the Latino community. It's something bigger than that brewing. You know what I mean? You should do a panel show. I will come on. Let's do it. Let's get it cracking, man. Any way that I can support and, be heard and put a message out there that's contrary to the messages that all these other content creators that come from where we come from put out, then let's do it, man. Let's do our best and let's do our part to awaken our people. Because there's a lot of youngsters that need to hear this information and it'll change the way that they perceive themselves and the members of their community, homie. Now is the time. The time is at hand. We living in a technological time, right? Technology. What is technology? Is technology not a form of science? What does science mean when they say see a sky or star or whatever they taught us in school? I came, I saw, I conquered. That's what originally science is supposed to mean, right? But when we talk about science, science is related and it has a lot to do with education in the mind, right? We're living in a time of revelation. We're living in a technological time. So a lot of things is going to be revealed to us. The information is going to be presented to you. Just like karma. Karma ain't taking that long to hit some of these cats. Back when we was kids, man, it took 10, 15, 5 years for certain dudes to get their karma. But now it's almost instantaneous. It's almost instant karma because we're living in an age of revelations and everything should be revealed. This is the great reveal right here. Let's not be it's all good. Hey, yeah, but I'm with you, Frank Nitty. Let's get it cracking, man. On my page, my number is on my page, so y'all can reach out to me on that line. Y'all hear me, and if I ain't busy, I'm gonna answer. If I'm busy, shoot me a text, and then I'll back in on you. Red Supreme needs to see this. Shout out to Red Supreme, man. You know what I mean? Shout out to Red Supreme. Or you could come on my show. Most definitely. JG say less. I will let him know. Frank Nitty, do that, my brother. Chocktaw enslaved us. What? Elaborate if you don't mind. Chocktaw enslaved us. Because it's one of the Caucasians enslaved us and sold us to the civilized tribes. The civilized tribe, Chocktaw, will be named or put under that umbrella many years later. But Choctaw originally wasn't part of the 5 civilized tribes. There were Indians that worked in conjunction with the white man. Just like I don't want to get too far off track, but there was also African Americans that was enslaved, right? That they taught weaponry, they taught how to hunt and whatnot, and they used to use them to go out and befriend the Negroid native people, and then they'd go tell the white folks, say, yeah, the Negroid native people is right down there. You go here, do that, whoop whoop, and they got a camp down there. So the African Americans actually turned on the Negro natives that was over here. And I think the Buffalo Soldiers did that shit too. You know, everybody be bigging up the Buffalo Soldiers, but the Buffalo Soldiers did a lot of BS. And it's a lot of our black historical figures that could have helped us get out of slavery earlier, but they didn't. Just like, what's the dude named the white abolitionist? Was it Jim Brown, John Brown, Jim Smith? Y'all know his name. What's his name, man? That was saying, man, we can end slavery now. We're gonna have a duel with these white folks. All I need is for y'all to show up. And black historical figures went and told the white folks, hey, Jim Brown or John Smith, John Brown, man, he trying to create a revolution, man, that's gonna end slavery. And he reached out. John Brown was a Caucasian abolitionist that put it all on the line for black folks. But black folks couldn't even see themselves free at that time. Harriet Tubman had made a statement that said something of, I could have freed a lot more people if they knew they were enslaved. But there were 4, I'm not gonna name them now, but it was 4 historical figures that we honor and respect and whatnot, that they put all throughout the history books and all that went and told the white folks, hey, this white boy, John Brown, he trying to get all the blacks together so that we can come and overthrow y'all and end slavery. This is true. All you got to do is do your research. Chocktaw been kicking out all the black tribe members. Those ain't the real Chocktaws. Those is those $5 Indians, where you can go and pay $5 and get paperwork that says that you're a Chocktaw. That's who those are. My people is the real Chocktaws. And they been took our identity and took our land from us. So you can't say that Chocktaws is kicking out all the black tribe members, because the original Chocktaws ain't even in a position of power to say who can be accepted and who can be rejected. We ain't in that position of power. They took that from us. If you look at the head person that's over the Chocktaw Nation, if you look at them, right? Look at the head person and look at the people that they're calling Chocktaw now. Those ain't Chocktaw, kin folks. Them ain't us. Chocktaw been kicking out all the black natives because they don't have native ancestry. That's a bowl of bullshit. We definitely have native ancestry. We was here before anybody. If you don't believe it, go to Illinois and look at the pyramid that was created in Illinois. There were mound builders up there. There were native people who actually created pyramids here in what they call the United States of America. We've been here. So that's propaganda, homie. They seized. They took that from us. They took that position of power. So we don't dictate who's allowed in or who get kicked out, because we don't have that position of power no more. They took that from us, and they took our identity, and they took our land. Because if they admitted that you are Chocktaw and you belong in this nation, a motherfucker can say, hey, cuz, what happened to my great-great-grandmama land? We got land out here. What happened to our rights to our land? But it's when they kick you out and they say, no, man, you're not really this, then they don't have to give you shots at getting your land back. We got land down there, only acres upon acres upon acres of land that they took from us. They have a reputation for doing this. So we just can't believe the propaganda, Kim, folks. DNA proves who are real natives. Most definitely. They wrote us out of reparations on the Dawes Road. The main charge, the man in charge of the Chocktaw is full-blooded native look Asian. Okay. Chocktaw enslaved us freedom. Elaborate. What do you mean when you say Chocktaw enslaved us freedom? Hold on. Okay. Me, I can be corrected. I don't mind being corrected. What I'm telling y'all, right, about Chocktaw, they stole our identity. First, they stole our land, kicked us out of Oklahoma. I'm telling you, man, my great-grandmama, my great-grandmama was born on an Indian reservation in Oklahoma. They kicked them out. When they kicked them out, they went to Texas. From Texas, they went to Arkansas. From Arkansas, they came out here to California. My people got land out there. They kicked them out. They told them, you're not this. Whoopie-whoop. And they're like, hold on, I am this. My great-great-great-grandfather was this. And whoopie-whoop and all that. They're like, no, you got to get up out of here. They kicked them out. $5 Indians. Caucasians went, paid $5, and they got documentation that said that they were Chocktaw, and they got a whole lot of land. Same thing with other Indian tribes. They went and they became $5 Indians, even though they was already considered Indian, but they wanted the land that was taken from the Chocktaw, and they got a leadership position. But my partner JG say Chocktaw, the man in charge of the Chocktaw, is full-blooded Native American. Let's look and see. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I can be corrected. I'm not too much of a man and I'm not too prideful to be corrected. But let's see. Let's see if there's any truthfulness to what my partner JG is saying. Who's the head of the Chocktaw Nation? What do you look like? Okay, let's go right here. Can y'all see that? Gary Baton is the 4th chief of the Chocktaw Nation of Oklahoma. He's what? Appointment. Baton was appointed chief on April the 28th, 2014, after the retirement of Chief Gregory E. Powell. What? Hold on. Today, Gary Baton leads the 3rd largest tribal nation in the country, but his life could have turned out to be drastically different. As a child, Chief Baton family lived in Wichita, Kansas. This is the dude who's the head of the Chocktaw Nation. Not this dude right here. Not him. He looks Asian. You can tell that he's a Mongoloid, most definitely. This cat right here, you can most definitely tell he's a Mongoloid. He's the descendant of the Asians who came over here via the Bering Strait into Alaska, Canada. Then they migrated into what we call the United States of America. But my partner JG just said that the head dude of the Chocktaw Nation, right? He's Native American, full-blooded, and he looks Asian. But what does this say? Let's go back to it. Who's the head? We're gonna get into the head right here. This is the head. Come on, cuz. This is the head of the Chocktaw Nation. That's the head of the Chocktaw Nation, cuz. Exactly. We have a small percentage of native DNA, but we descend from West and Central Africans. Not all of us can, folks. We all come from Africa because the first humans were placed in the Garden of Eden that was in the continent of Africa. All humanity come from Africa. We know that, most definitely. And I'm not disrespectful. I'm not getting aggressive towards you or none of that. But we all come from Africa. Negroid, Mongoloid, Caucasoid, we all come from Africa. Africa is the cradle of humanity. We all know that. But I'm talking about it was Negroids already over here in the Americas before the white folks came over here. And they were calling them, what were they calling them? They were calling them Indians. The original inhabitants of India is black before the I don't know which European group invaded India. But before India was conquered, the original indigenous people were black. That's why when they came over here, they thought they was an Indian. Man, look at these black motherfuckers, man. With this wavy and smooth hair. If you don't believe it, look at the Aboriginals in Australia. Before the white folks went down there and conquered them, the native people was jet black with straight hair. And it was the same thing over here. I need to lie. I need not lie. I don't need to lie, Ken, folks. But I understand we have been indoctrinated to believe the contrary. Our people was over here, or we was already over here. Mayans were black. The Olmecs were black. The original Aztecs, the Aztecs were black. So when these Spanish people start tattooing these Aztecs on them and all that, and they look like what is the name of that Indian tribe? Forgive me, it eludes my memory right now. You feel what I'm saying? But I don't need to lie. You said that the head person of the Chocktaw Nation was full-blooded native, and he looked like a Mongoloid. He looked Asian. I just refuted that. I just dispelled that fallacy. No, that's not true. Let's get a little bit more deeper into this story, right? Today, Gary Baton leads the third largest tribal nation in the country, but his life could have turned out to be drastically different. As a child, Chief Baton's family lived in Wichita, Kansas. And who was his predecessor? What name did they say was his predecessor? Let's see what his predecessor was. Chief Gregory E. Powell. So we want to check out Chief Gregory E. Powell, see what he looked like. See what Gregory E. Powell looked like. You gotta be shitting me. JG, run that back to me what you said. Because the current chief of the Choctaw Nation is a person who has blue eyes and almost blonde hair. His predecessor, the person who was in a position of chieftain or whatever you call it, the position of being a chief before him, is this dude. This dude don't even look like a Mongoloid or like a Native American or like the Inuit people, the Inuit people up in Alaska and Canada. They took our shit, cuz. I know what I'm talking about because I've been taught my history and my identity since I was a kid from my great-grandmother and my grandmother, cuz. They took our shit. My great-grandmother was born in Indian Territory, Oklahoma, on a reservation. They used to frequent the reservation even when they got kicked out. My great-great-grandmother was full-blooded Chocktaw. They took our identity and seized our land, cuz I'm not going to come on here and lie. I know it seems far-fetched because this isn't what we're educated about in their education system. If you can prove that you're a Chocktaw, we can prove that these motherfuckers that stole our shit and we need our motherfucking land back. That's why they teach us that we're everything other than ourselves. Or you're colored. Colored? Motherfucker, I don't belong in no crayon box, cuz. Oh, you guys are Negroes. That's what you are. They didn't call us colored. They didn't call us Negroids. They didn't call us Afro-Americans to African-Americans. They didn't call us everything other than who we truly are. And not all of us is Chocktaw. Not all of us are descendants of that Negroid indigenous blood lineage. Not all of us. Some of us actually came from freed slaves and people who were put into shackles and chains in Africa and imported over here. Some of us and some of y'all come from that. But I know my identity because as a kid, I was being taught this. And then as I got older and I started researching and using technology, everything that my grandmama taught me, it was true. I can prove, I can present my documentation about who my people is. These $5 Indians stole my people identity and my people land. I don't need to come on here and create, like, you know what I mean? Like, no, for what? But my partner JG said that the head of the Chocktaw Nation was an individual who looked Asian. He looked like a Mongoloid. He's full-blooded native. But we just dispelled that false narrative by showing you that the current chief of the Chocktaw Nation is a dude that has blonde hair and blue eyes. And the dude who ruled, or the dude who presided over the Chocktaw Nation before him, was this dude right here. Let me see if I remove myself. Would it expand? I want y'all to see this. We got to do better. We got to seek understanding of self as an individual first, and then as a collective. Who are we as a people? Who actually are we? And we wonder why Jamaicans, Haitians, and Africans come over here and they have a different mindset than we do. But we call that mind state them looking down on us. No, they know who they are. The Jamaicans know that they are part of those maroon soldiers who battled and beat the British people and kicked them out their land for a duration of time. The Haitians know about Toussaint L'Ouverture, whooping the shit out of the French. They have an identity. Our identity, when we go to these education institutions, our identity is rooted in slavery. No, fuck that. Not mine, cuz. And that's why I'm so passionate about my people. And I come on here, cuz, and I do the shit that I do. I understand, I overstand who the fuck I am. They can't tell me you this and you that. And I go for that shit and I'm gullible. And I'm gullible. I'm like, no, fuck that. I'm more than a Crip. I'm more than the blood. I'm more than a motherfucking nigga. Because I understand who and what I come from. I know my identity. I know what nation and what tribe I belong to, but a lot of us don't. And that's why our identity is rooted in the hood, Cripping, blood, being counterproductive to our people as a community, as a whole, as a collective. Not me. Identity is big. If identity wasn't big, then why the fuck did they paint Jesus white? And then they say, oh, it's not about race. If it's not about race and identity, then why the fuck you painted white in the first place? Y'all gotta understand this shit, cuz we ain't got a lot of time to sit on our fingers and Twitter. We ain't got a lot of time to be on this bullshit, cuz. But it starts with understanding who we are. Why do you think they don't give us reparations? They ain't got to give us no fucking reparations because we're not part of no nation. But when you say I'm Chocktaw, you're part of a nation. You have a flag and you have other things that represent you as being a distinct nation. We are who they tell us that we are, and niggas. So they ain't got to give us shit because we created you. We named you. So they ain't got to give us no fucking reparations. They give reparations to nations. What nation do we have? I mean, the Moors, they're a nation. They have a flag that represents them, but a lot of us ain't even conscious to the teachings of the brothers who are Moors. Come on, cuz. We got to break free of this mental slavery that they put on us, cuz. Once we break free, we elevate. And when we elevate, we change the dynamics of this whole planet. The whole world hates us, but they sit back and watch us and they emulate us. So that shows that we have value because everybody want to be us. But I'm going to read some of these comments, cuz, and I'm going to jump up off this thing, cuz. Seek understanding of self as an individual and as a culture, as a collective, as a people. Seek understanding of self. Stop allowing your enemies to identify who you are. Stop allowing your enemies to educate your kids. Stop allowing your enemies to dictate how you live, how you die. Fuck that. I'm going to read some of this shit, cuz. Neil Spike says, we are, hold on, these comments is coming in. We are Yoruba, Doheny, Ghana, etc., West Africa. You may be, but not all of us, cuz. That's all I'm saying. Not all of us came here by importation. Not all of us was brought over here in shackles and chains. That's all I'm fucking saying. Not all of us, cuz. Our history is deeper than just slavery. There were African Negroids. There were Negroids that was in the Americas way before slavery, cuz. That's what I'm trying to educate y'all to. So not all of us is from West Africa. Not all of us is from this part of Africa where they went and they captured the slaves. Not all of us is from that. That's all I'm saying. They would like you to believe that. Because when you know that your peoples is the mound builders up in Illinois and up the Mississippi River, then you can lay claim to land. The biggest commodity on the face of this motherfucking earth is land and the resources that grows out of the land. Y'all better wake up and understand this shit, cuz. It's a reason why they took your identity. It's a reason why they took your birthright. On crib. This shit ain't no game. This shit is real life. And we can't move to more important topics because we stuck on this shit. We want to be their versions of niggas. Nah, homie, we way more than that. And that's what I'm trying to share. That's what I'm trying to communicate. That's what I'm trying to teach. Sada Tate says, my great-grandparents don't know nobody in Africa. I understand that, but some of y'all really come from that. And I'm not trying to be pretentious or arrogant or none of that because I am part Chocktaw. No, hell no. But when you know where you come from, it gives you a certain level of confidence. When you know your pops used to throw hands and he was a good fighter, that gives you a certain level of confidence to where you believe in yourself. $23 me on sale right now. Or is it 23 and me on sale right now? My Naga Bobby dropping that fire. I appreciate that, man. Make sure y'all support your kin folks, man. Like, subscribe, share, do all that, man. Keep your player partner in the algorithm, man. We got to get to a point of overstanding, man. We living in the time of revelations. Anything that you want to be revealed, that should be revealed. This is the time that we can collectively come together and manifest what we want. You know you were powerful people because back in the times when what we call God, right? Man's version of God, when it came down here in the physical and seeing that they were creating the Tower of Babel, which was a rocket ship to go into the heavens. Man's version of God, man's understanding of God, right? Said, no, we have to divide their language. For anything that they put their minds to, they can accomplish. We have to unify, homie. It's the reason why in Africa they speak over 2,000 different languages and in so many different dialects, because that's what the Tower of Babel was. To Babel means to talk without being understood. We have to change their language for anything that they put their minds to, they'll be able to accomplish. There's a part of our DNA that they call ghost or mystery or alien DNA. That's that God DNA that's within us, homie. We got God DNA in us, but we don't want to manifest. We just want to live in this human form of existence. But what about the duality of life? You got the physical, and then you got the spiritual. Let's become more spiritual. We possessed and ran and ruled the land when we were spiritual. When we believed in our ancestors and we believed in the land and we believed in nature. But when they came and they gave us certain religious beliefs and certain indoctrinations and whatnot, we lost the land and we lost our identity. It's the reason why you can feel death before death manifests. It's the reason why you can feel blessings before blessings manifest. It's the reason why you can feel a person is a coward, a homosexual, a traitor, in any manner of things because of your connection in the spiritual. But we rather live in the physical where they can conquer us, where they rule. Homie, there's spiritual components to us as well. There's a part of our DNA that they don't understand at all. They call it alien. They call it a ghost DNA. That's that God body that's within us, homie. We got to tap into that. It's the reason why sometimes you feel like you can predict the future. It's a reason why you can call things into existence before it manifests in the physical. It's a reason. You have a connection with something that they don't even understand. So that's why they subjugate you and oppress you, because they understand once we all come together, homie, the vibration change. just by us all coming together. The vibration change. That's all I'm saying, Ken, folks. That's all I'm saying, baby. That's all I'm trying to. That's the message I'm trying to convey. It's time to get our shit together. Because if we don't seize the opportunity now, it's a wrap for us, homie. I done told you about the breakaway civilizations. I done told you about the tier 1 civilizations, to where they're unaliving us, they're kidnapping us and extracting our melanin out of us, and they inject it into them. So is it black folks in the future? Yeah, it's black folks in the future, but it ain't us. It's inorganic black folks in the future. They know what melanin is. They know that melanin is a conduit. They know that melanin, man, what melanin is, homie, you will be astonished if you knew what it is that you're carrying around. One small thing of melanin can hold over, I think they said, 1,000 tetrabytes of information. They're using melanin to do a lot of this technological shit that they're doing right now. They can download your consciousness and put it into a computer system. How do they do that? By using melanin. You don't know how valuable you are because we've been taught for decades that we have no value. For those who get it, peace and blessings, you get it. For those who don't get it, ain't no problem, baby. Because sometimes you got to plant a seed. And in the right situations and conditions and environments, that seed should blossom when it needs to. Just water that motherfucker. Life is going to water it. So you may not get it now, but down the line, you may get it. You may get it when you have kids and you got responsibilities and you don't want to go outside and hear that your son just got his brains blown out down the street. In the spring, it'll blossom for you. I got to teach you this. I gotta guide you and direct you like this. It's time for man to be man. There's 3 things that we're supposed to do in life with our children and in our kids, in the children in the community, because it takes a village. There's 3 things we're supposed to do. We're supposed to mentor. Number 1, we're supposed to teach. From teaching, we go into training. So I done taught you this. Now I'm about to train you to see how well you have ingested the teachings. And number 3 is mentor. I done taught you, I done trained you, now I'm gonna sit back and play the position of a coach. No, son, I don't think you should do that. I did that. And that's where the position of the elders come in at. I did that, and this is how it affected my life, to my detriment. We got to get back to teaching, training, and mentorship. We have to get back to that, homie. It's important that we get back to that. But I'm gonna read a few more of these comments about, and I'm gonna get up off this thing. My uncle owned a liquor store that burned down on 114th in the PJs in the 80s. That's your uncle? The green store? Wait, pause, bro. Oh, he said on 114th. The green store was on 113th Street in between Mona and Gorman. Maybe you talking about the green store because they got the pink store, but the pink store is owned by Koreans. Our skin tone have red in it because we ate the Redskins. The Redskins. What you mean we ate the Redskins? Man? What you talking about, bro? What this dude talking about? Old man from Watts Life Car Club. I know when my big brother in trouble or hurting, I can feel it, and he's across the country. That DNA, it's real, homie. We have a genetic connection with the cosmos. You know how they talk about the cosmic web and all that? We are part of that. More so than any other racial group, more so than any other ethnic group, we are connected to that, homie. Our very being is connected to what we call the universe. Everything that the universe is composed of is in us. We got gold, we got zinc, we got all that shit inside of us, homie. And some of the things that's in us is like a conduit. Every cell in our body got 1.3 volts of electricity. Imagine if you were able to control all this energy that's within us. You'll be like Raiden off of Mortal Kombat. This is true. If you don't believe me, research it yourself. Don't take my word. Go research that shit. This is the age of information. Individuals have to work to be ignorant. It was a point in time to where you have to work to be intelligent. But the information is so plentiful, it's so prevalent to where it's here. This is the age of information, the age of revelation. Let's tap into this shit, man. I live on 112th and Watts Avenue in the 80s in Nut Hill Watts car. Oh, I can dig it. Shout out to all my Nut Hill player partners. Fam West TV say, what's up, Bobby A, Imperial Vision? Crippin'. Bobby A, what's up with this goofy Fat Joe dissing our FBA peoples? What's your thoughts on that? Fuck Fat Joe. That's a part of that white supremacy. That's a part of that Europeanized philosophy and teachings. Fuck Fat Joe. He want to be, I'm Latino, but I'm black when it's convenient for him. But for him to come on and say the FBA they're broke and they this and look at their leader and all that, homie, you a traitor. You a cancer, and we don't want nothing to do with you. Stay the fuck from around us, Fat Joe. It's so much that I can say about Fat Joe, but I won't. We can't support Fat Joe. We got to say fuck Fat Joe. See, this is the point that we have to get to. When people insult and assault our righteous folks, we got to back up off of them. We got to stop turning blind eyes to this shit. So fuck Fat Joe. We don't give no fucks about Fat Joe. Fat Joe, go figure out who you really are, bro. Sit your fat, stinking, wop leg ass down, man. They changed the Washington Redskins team logo because the Indian on there showed the brown skinned original American, Snoopy Mac. That's some real shit you talking on the reels. That's why they keep changing our identity to hide it. The Indian Removal Act of 1887. If your grandparents' birth certificate say color, you know what's up. Fat Joe must be stopped. King Ross 23 say Fat Joe must be stopped. He must be stopped. Fat Joe must be stopped. The doctor, what's his name? Dr. Colin that was going against brother Tariq Nasheed. Man, if I can ever get in contact with Tariq Nasheed, man, they gonna be mad at me. They gonna be mad at Cuz too, homie. Oh, the reals. Shout out to Reno from PJ. Shout out to Reno on the Rendels. Right, fuck Sloppy Joe. Yeah, fuck Sloppy Joe. Rebo, oh yeah, Rebo, that's my big homie, man. I tell Rebo that you send your sentiments, man, on the reels. Shadonis Gaines Jr. say blacks need to come together like the Black Panthers, FOI, and move. I agree with you. Black people stay taking L's in California, man. They never liked y'all. Why y'all can't see this? We see this. We understand it. We know it. But we supposed to, Dr. Colonial, yeah. So we just supposed to just leave, let them run us out of Los Angeles, California. When Los Angeles is a city that was founded and created by black folks, black natives, Negroid, Aborigines, indigenous people. Nah, it's not going down like that, homie. We got as much right to Los Angeles and California just as much as them. Queen Khalifa, that's where the name California come from. Not because of Caliente and its hot lands. Like, no, homie, if you know, you know. But we have to get to a position and a point of knowing. We got to stop killing each other. The reason why they do what they do to us in Los Angeles is because of self-inflicted genocide that we created and put on ourselves that was funded by the United States government. Where you think all those assault rifles came from? See, the informants, the government informants, right? Confidential informants, they've been around. So when those trains stopped in every urban community, every ghetto in America, and those trains stopped that had guns on them, how do you think the information got out there? Now, just imagine you ride down the street and you see a stopped train. How many of you just have the mind to say, you know what? I'm about to break in that train. A lot of us don't. But they gave the information to the confidential informants. Those confidential informants took the information to the neighborhood, and that's how dudes knew that it was high-powered assault rifles on those trains, and they broke into the trains and got the guns, and they used the guns against one another. It's government-funded terrorism. But they don't want to talk about that. See, I'm going to pause there. I'm going to stop right there. Hey, my granny had long hair and speak Indian, blacks, Morongo tribe, Riverside. We get the money. We tap in with our black man. That's what's up, Kim, folks, on the Renanels. Moving Through Your Hood says Afrikaners are a South African ethnic group of European descent who speak Afrikaans as their native language. Blacks in Africa are not Africans. Look it up. Okay, I'll look it up. I'll do some research about it. We can have another conversation in regards to this, man. You know what I'm talking about? Infinite Wellsman says, but they hate ninjas more than they love hip hop. Snoopy Mac said, Wakanda is in America. It's a park that's an Indian burial ground. That's heavy. I didn't know that. I'm gonna look into that. Neil Spike says, dang, I wish you would have let me come on your platform. We can do that, man. I don't mind y'all coming on here and kicking game with your kin folks and teaching me something and exposing me to different versions of the truth, well, not different versions of the truth, but different perspectives or whatnot, because the truth is the truth. You cannot dilute and you cannot change the truth. The truth is the truth. But, you know, I appreciate, you know, if y'all come on and, you know, rap with your play upon it. If you ever want to get in contact with me, my number is somewhere on my homepage and all that. Just mac in on me. We can have a conversation. We can come on here and talk about the embedment of our people and how we drive the culture and the race forward. You know what I mean? You know, fuck with your play upon it, man. We're the original Indians of this land. This is our land. This is most definitely our land. This is our land. But look, check this out, man. I gotta, man, I'm working on these stories, man. You know what I mean? It's some amazing things going on, man. It's going on, you know, that's going on in 2025, man. You know what I mean? So I got to get back to my writing time. This is my writing time, man. I usually start at a certain time, and it's that time right now. So I'm about to jump up off this thing, man. Y'all like, subscribe, share, and connect with your play upon it, man. Brother Bobby, don't get discouraged. Keep doing what you're doing, man. I can't be discouraged, and I appreciate that, Snoopy Mac. Can't be discouraged, man. Our babies, the next generation is going to be depending on how we act, why we act, and the things that we act on right here, right now. I can't be discouraged, homie. I'm on a mission, and they know I'm on a mission. You know what I mean? So y'all step and be blessed, man. One love, man. You know, fuck with your play upon it, man. God bless y'all. Happy holidays and all that type of shit, man.